she stormed onto my property like she owned the place bolt cutters in hand. Eyes, blazing, and without saying a word, started tearing down my fence. "You're blocking HOA lake access," she shouted, as if that gave her the right. But I didn't stop her. I didn't scream. I let her finish, quietly recording every second. Because what she didn't know was this: I had the real deed. I had the entire HOA board ready to flip on her. And by the time she realized what I'd set in motion, it was too late. She thought she was enforcing rules, but she just destroyed the last bit of power she had. And I was about to take everything. It all started just a few weeks after. I bought my peaceful lakefront cabin place I'd worked years to afford. Quiet mornings, glassy water, and zero drama, ... Or so I thought. That illusion shattered the moment Karen showed up at my door, wearing a neon HOA badge she probably printed at home, clipboard in hand, fake smile plastered on her face. She said, "Hi there, you're new, so let me explain how things work around here." Her tone was syrupy, but her eyes were already scanning my yard. She didn't ask about my fence. She told me it had to go, said it was blocking the community's right-of-way to the lake. I calmly explained that my deed showed no such easement, and the fence had been approved by the city. But she didn't care. Karen didn't want answers, she wanted control. That was her first move. And from that moment on, I knew this wasn't just about a fence. It was about a war she was going to start and lose. Over the next few days, things got weird fast. First, my trash bins disappeared. Then I started getting violation notices taped to my door, sloppily written and unsigned, accusing me of nonsense like excessive wind chimes and non-neutral fence paint. I ignored them at first, figuring it was just a scare tactic, but then I overheard Karen telling neighbors I was illegally occupying restricted HOA land, which was not only false, but slanderous. When I confronted her calmly at a community meeting, she laughed and said, "Newcomers never understand the rules until they pay the price." That's when I realized this wasn't about the lake, or the fence, or even me. Karen needed control, like most people need air. But she had no idea who she was messing with. I wasn't just going to fight back, I was going to outsmart her, one quiet step at a time. And the best part, she'd never see it coming. Instead of fighting her fire with fire, I lit a fuse she didn't even notice. First, I installed discreet security cameras around my property high-rise, night vision, motion. Every passive-aggressive act she committed after that caught on tape. I also started documenting every interaction, dates, times, witnesses. Meanwhile, I dug into the HOA's bylaws and public records. Turns out, Karen had been running things for years unopposed, unchallenged, and wildly unchecked. The HOA board was just her friends nodding along. But here's the kicker. Several homeowners were quietly angry, especially after recent special assessments where thousands went missing. So I reached out. I had calm conversations, listened, earned their trust. Turns out, I wasn't the first person she'd targeted, but I might be the last, because now I had neighbors ready to help me expose her. And behind the scenes, I began working with a local attorney to review her actions, every petty notice, every lie, every dollar she couldn't account for. Karen thought she was pushing me around, but I was setting the trap, and all I needed was one final shove from her. To spring it, then it happened. I came back from a weekend trip and froze in my driveway. My fence, the one that marked the clear legal boundary of my property, was gone. Not damaged, not tampered with, completely dismantled. Fence posts pulled from the earth, panels tossed in a pile like junk wood. At first, I thought it was vandalism. Then I checked the footage, and there she was, Karen, wearing gloves, bolt cutters in hand, directing to neighborhood. Goons like she was running a demolition crew, laughing, smirking, treating my land like it was her personal playground. The footage was crystal clear. My attorney's jaw dropped when he saw it. This wasn't just a violation of HOA policy, it was criminal trespassing and destruction of private property. Still, I didn't rush to the police, not yet. I wanted her to think she'd won, because in just 3 days, our special HOA vote was scheduled. A vote she didn't even know was happening, and with over 70% of the homeowners behind me, I wasn't just taking her down, legally I was about to remove her throne. The night of the special HOA meeting, Karen strolled in like she always did, head high, fake pearls, smug smile. She had no idea what was coming. I had spent weeks quietly rallying the neighborhood door-to-door conversations, sharing documents, playing clips from my security footage when needed. People were angry, not just about my fence, but about years of unchecked fines, bullying, and disappearing HOA funds. The room was packed. Karen tried to start the meeting like usual, but I stood up and made a motion to override the agenda. Tonight, I said calmly, we vote on dissolving this board under Article 8 of the HOA bylaws. She laughed and I showed her the signed petition with over 2/3 of the community's signatures. Her face dropped. Then I played the video, her tearing down my fence, caught from 3 angles, gasps. A neighbor's jaw literally dropped. The vote, unanimous. The HOA board was dissolved on the spot. Karen was removed from her position, effective immediately. No ceremony, no farewell, just stunned silence. She sat frozen while the rest of us clapped. And as the new interim committee took over, I made one motion, full legal restitution for the fence, and a formal police report filed for property destruction. It was no longer just community justice. It was now criminal by the following week. Karen wasn't strutting through the neighborhood anymore. She was hiding behind closed blinds. The police had visited her home to serve the report, and she was officially being charged with destruction of property, trespassing, and unauthorized use of HOA funds. My attorney filed a civil suit for damages, including the cost to rebuild the fence, lost property value, and emotional distress. Karen tried to fight it with one of those budget lawyers, but the evidence was overwhelming, especially the footage of her directing the destruction with a smile. In court, the judge didn't hold back. Not only did he order her to pay full restitution and legal fees, but he also gave her a suspended jail sentence, 90 days, hanging over her head like a storm cloud. One more slip-up and she'd be behind bars. Oh, and she was forced into 120 hours of community service, cleaning up trash in the very neighborhood she once ruled. Homeowners watched her from their porches while she picked up litter in an orange vest. The queen had fallen, hard. And the best part, she had no one to blame but herself. I didn't raise my voice, didn't retaliate, just let her dig her own legal grave, then handed her the shovel in court. Karen tried to save face. For a few weeks, she kept to herself, probably hoping the storm would blow over. But it didn't. The community she once dominated now wanted nothing to do with her. Parents pulled their kids away when she walked by. Neighbors stopped waving. Her closest allies on the old board moved away or went silent. Her house, once the model home of the HOA, sat dark and quiet. Then, like clockwork, a for sale sign popped up on her lawn. No goodbye, no apology. She just vanished. And here's the twist: after the HOA dissolved, I partnered with a local investor and bought the empty lot right behind Karen's former house. The very spot she had once claimed was community access. I built a lakeside fire pit, planted fruit trees, and put up a taller fence, fully permitted and completely legal. The irony: that fence is now a symbol of everything she lost. The neighborhood is finally peaceful, with real conversations instead of threats, and neighbors who help each other instead of hiding behind fines. Karen thought she could bully me into giving up my land, my rights, and my peace. Instead, she gave me something much bigger: control of my home and the respect of an entire community. She came for a fence and lost everything. Months passed. The lake was calm again, the air felt lighter, and for the first time since I moved in, I could sit on my deck in total peace. No bogus Venus, no anonymous notes, no HOA meetings filled with tension. Just the soft sound of water and the occasional laughter of neighbors finally enjoying their homes without fear. The new community setup worked beautifully: voluntary contributions for shared maintenance, open discussions, and actual transparency. Life felt right, but just when I thought the Karen saga was truly over, I got an email from a local realtor I knew. "Hey," it said, "just ahead. Guess who's trying to buy a house 2 streets over?" My stomach dropped. It was her, Karen. Apparently, she was trying to sneak into another neighborhood, one with a small HOA still intact. But what she didn't know was that several residents there already heard about her thanks to my story going viral in a neighborhood Facebook group. Word travels fast, and now people are doing background checks on her. So, if she thinks she's getting back on another HOA board to rule with an iron fist, she's in for a rude awakening. Because this time, the community is ready. Karen taught us all a lesson, but not the one she intended. And if she ever tries coming back here again, I've got the cameras, the court records, and a neighborhood that's never letting her reign again, ever. A few weeks after that realtor's email, I received something unexpected: a handwritten letter, no return address, just my name and street on the front. I opened it cautiously, half expecting more nonsense. But inside was a short, slanted note that read, "You think you won, but this neighborhood was never yours. Enjoy it while it lasts. K. No apology, no ownership, just spite wrapped in denial." Typical Karen. I showed it to my lawyer, who laughed and said, "She's still playing checkers. You already finished the game." I could have filed it with the rest of the case documents, but instead, I framed it, hung it in my home office right above the land survey and court judgment. A daily reminder of what happens when ego tries to overpower truth. That letter, meant to intimidate me, only confirmed how small her world had become. And that's where this story really ends, not with Karen's apology, but with her silence and a street she used to rule now, laughing around fire pits, waving at each other's kids, and building real community without fear. Her fences fell, mine stood tall, and in the end, the only thing Karen truly built was her own downfall.